And 3, 2, 1, and we're live. I always wanted to do that.
Okay, Mark is recording the call. Okay, so we are actually live once again, trying to do this thing. Battambang, Phnom Penh, Battambang, Cambodia. How are
That's
things?
right.
Yeah, how are things down there, Mark?
Things are all good in the hood, baby. What about you?
Uh, Things are just as normal, pretty much. I guess what has happened during these last couple of days has been that pretty much Cambodia has gone into not total lockdown, but semi total lockdown. I mean, we cannot, even if we would have wanted to go meet each other, we couldn't have gone to each other's cities at this point.
No, because they pretty much locked down traffic going from province to province, right?
Yes, that is true.
So not just from provinces to the capital and from the capital to the province, but also just in between. So you couldn't go to another province either. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true.
Wow. Do you
Mm.
notice anything?
No, I mean pretty much. My life hasn't changed much. These pretty much is this thing happened. I used to be staying at home. I don't spend too much time with larger groups of people. So nah, I didn't have any plans to go to Siem Reap or Phnom Penh anyway. So pretty much the same.
And people still go out there, or is there still anything going on?
I would say people are beginning to return to normal. People are beginning to go out a little bit more. I'm hearing that some shops are coming back as well, that they're opening again. But overall, I don't think Cambodia has seen such a difference in the day-to-day life as other places like Europe, for example.
I don't think so either. But I'm assuming that the all the hairdressers are closed.
Fuck you, man. I'm having my my quarantine hair. I'm
Yeah.
actually liking it a lot. I don't have to think about it. I work from home, so I can do my sit at home, work for my underwear, let it all grow out, just do my thing.
I can I can act cool now because I just got one in before this all went down. But it won't be long before I'll be cavemaning it up as well. You know.
I enjoy it. So that's the thing, actually. So, but my girlfriend is like, "Hey, shouldn't you be cutting your hair?" I'm like, "No, no, no. It's quarantine times, and things are not working as normal." So I'm actually taking this time to just feel like all rules are thrown out the window. So anything goes. I've been eating a lot of ice cream. I've been staying up late. I've been again, anything goes during these troubling times.
Pretty much living the dream.
Yes, sir. Now, but
But
I really like it. I like it that where you're so limited in your daily life, much just taking it from day to day. Because I don't know how it is for you. You're definitely the more structured, the more well groomed of us. So I'm not sure how your life has changed in this thing came about.
if I didn't know what was going on, if I wouldn't be watching news,
Mhm.
I would be like, oh, it's nice and quiet. Traffic is not too bad. The general pace of life is just a bit more easygoing. I've got a bit more time in my hands to do things that aren't very productive, but I kind of like it. It feels like a mini holiday. If I just ignore all the bad shit, it's feels like a holiday.
Unless we're ignoring the fact that the world is burning and everything is going to a complete stop. Now, but I definitely understand you, man. Again, like I think that is also like kind of I wouldn't say a challenge, but it's a weird thing. Of course, you being from Holland and me having family in Sweden, and knowing that things are way more serious over there. Uh, but you cannot deny the fact that here in Cambodia, we're not experiencing the same impact because of this current
No,
situation.
I agree, and I was meeting with a couple of people yesterday that have just been, isolated pretty much for a while, and some of them really struggling with being alone, if that
Yeah.
makes any sense. Need to get that?
Fucking hell. Yes. Sorry about that.
That's a real party foul.
There you go. Now, like you said, what did you say? So you said that. There you go. Sorry. So you've been
Right.
talking with some people that have been in complete isolation during this time.
Pretty much, and just really suffering the consequence. Like one of the guys is saying, like, I just have been dealing with thoughts that I am not, I'm not familiar with, like just depressed thoughts, and even up to a point where I start to think to myself like, what's going to happen with life, and is it going to be worth living if things keep going like this?
Oh
So,
wow,
yeah,
that's
like he
heavy.
wasn't. I think he could look at this on a rational, in a rational way. Like he could say like it's not that I am suicidal, but if I am thinking about these sort of thoughts, how are people with actual depression uh, dealing with this sort of situation? Because it's pretty heavy.
And I can definitely understand, like, if you obviously there's a lot of people suffering from real consequences from this, uh, being in a depression and then getting this on top of that. That must be a real struggle. But like you said about him having these thoughts, I've also like been thinking a lot about how like the human psyche is pretty much being affected by isolation. So obviously, you and me, we're not really a good example since we're still meeting people, we're still going outside. I mean, I have my garden, I go on my bicycle rides, I do my training, I work from home. So comparing myself to some places in, let's say, Spain, where they cannot go out, some of the places they cannot even they get one time to go out to do a little bit of exercise, and you have a military and you have a lot of authorities making sure that you stay at home. That's on a different level. But I even allow myself to go even further than that. I mean, I've been thinking about, I mean, since I'm very interested in, for example, like murderers and like the macabre points of life. Like I've always been interested in those things, and I always hear about these people being put in isolation. Like when you're in prison and you're in like real isolation, like you're not talking to anyone. You don't have the opportunity to go outside if you want to. You're actually being confined in a small space for pretty much the whole day, months after months after months after month. That must be the most terrible thing in the world.
Yes. And you're like, there's one thing we're kind of brushing over. You and me are pretty good, or I should speak for myself, but I am more of an introvert than I am an extrovert. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty used to being by myself. I feel good being by myself. I charge up normally by just kind of like caving it up every now and then. I'm not
Mm,
bothered by being alone and being a little bit isolated. But
mm,
imagine if you're an extrovert. Imagine if
yeah.
if going out and socializing is how you build yourself up and how you build your energy. In those cases, one of my clients is like that, and
Yeah.
he's really struggling,
Yeah.
really struggling.
No,
I get it.
it is, yeah, it is interesting because, like you say, we're all dealing with this very differently, and I think especially in these extreme times, you can really see the difference between people. Like these people, like you say, that are extrovert, that gain energy from being from socializing, or maybe they're very used to being out and about pretty much the whole day. Of course, they're gonna see such a difference from their day-to-day life compared to, I think even I am maybe an even better example of someone that is pretty much living their life isolated already. Since I work from home, I spend most of my day pretty much isolated and not in contact with people. So for sure, this is hitting people in a very different way all over the world.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm.
But we're keeping busy.
Yeah, man. I think that's the thing. I mean, we could, and also in this conversation, and I feel like maybe most of the people are having a hard time having conversation that goes beyond like the current situation, like
Right.
that's all everything that everyone is talking about. Like everything is about the current situation, but slowly, I feel like people are pretty much starting to at least try to get into a routine. Obviously, they're getting into a new routine that stems from the current situation, but they're still getting into a new routine of doing things. And I'm not sure how this is affecting you. Of course, we have these challenges that's a new routine that we've been doing from month to month.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure, why not?
So, to for anybody who's watching, let's bring it, let's backtrack a little bit and bring it up to speed. But we'll
Mm,
brush over that a little bit quickly.
mm,
You've been doing this for a long time, up
yeah,
to a level where you have contracts with yourself, where you actually write down, me, Matthias, will not eat ice cream for a
mm,
year.
yeah,
Otherwise, the consequences is that I pay this and this amount of money to this
yeah,
and this person, or whatever the variable may be.
mm,
And because of that, we are now in a year where every month we're doing something.
yeah,
Every month we're doing something where either it's adding something to our daily life, something
mm,
we're not used to doing, or it takes away something that normally we can do.
yes,
For example, Monday, January was non-drinking. We
yeah,
did fasting. We
yeah,
did breathing exercises, and this month we're drawing. Which
yes.
how would you experience the drawing?
Uh, More positive than I thought it would be. Like I actually
Your
really enjoyed
idea?
it. Huh?
Wasn't it your idea or was it mine?
I think it was someone recommended it to you,
Oh
and
yeah.
we just
Oh
went
yeah,
with it.
you're right. You're right. You're right.
I think it was
You're
a
right. You're
friend of
right.
yours that recommended that we do that.
You're right.
So
Jasper. Yeah, you're right.
no, I mean, I guess I've been drawing my whole life at some point, but I can probably count on two hands the amount of hours that I spent doing it, and I probably doubled up that amount during this month so far. Uh, it's been interesting because drawing is one of those things that maybe at a glance it feels like simple, but I mean, it takes 2 seconds starting it, and you understand, like, oh my God, this is beyond anything I've been doing before. It's very difficult, and not only that, it's pretty. I don't know if I would say scary, but it's pretty humbling for sure.
Yes, I know what you mean. Even though
Mm,
I had the opposite experience initially. So I thought drawing is a skill that you
mm,
have a talent for
mm,
that allows you to become an artist. And if you don't have it, you don't have it. I've done it a little
mm,
bit in school and stuff. I realized immediately I cannot do this, so I've never
mm,
done it. Now, after doing a little bit of drawing, I start to realize that there's a system to this,
yeah,
there is construction lines, there's proportions, there's
yeah,
as you were saying when you gave me feedback on the different shapes and stuff in terms of shading, there's a certain way of looking at this and building things up, and if you
yeah,
apply those things, it is a learnable skill. I don't think I'm ever going to get to an artist level, like
mm,
don't get me wrong, but I
mm,
do understand following the process that hey, there's certain steps you can take that really allow you to kind of, yeah, to kind of progress. And even though we did only 7 days of the portraits, for example, my last portrait was definitely a lot better than my first.
yeah. I think that's the most interesting part of these. Now that we're doing active challenges, we're not only limiting ourselves, but you're actually trying something out for a month. You can actually see how much you can actually get better in a certain field just when you start applying the same day-to-day routine, or actually start looking into what I would call like de-romanticizing a subject. So, for example, I coming from a world of writing, I think a lot of people, even writers, sometimes romanticize it, but actually behind it all, behind this like this idea of, oh, you sit there and you feel this
with your
You have
glass
this
of
feeling.
whiskey and a cigar, or typing on an old
Yeah,
school typewriter.
and you're sitting there, and I mean, you stare out the window, and just it comes to you, and you write it down.
Fingers closed. Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, don't
yeah,
get
yeah,
me
yeah.
wrong, the
So
whiskey is there, the staring out the window is there, but it's more of a manual labor, and it's the same thing with drawing. And I in the end, I think it's the same thing with everything. It's just this daily grind of doing something over and over again, and when you kind of get stuck or when you kind of plateau, you start to dig around to see like how can I break this down. So, for example, a portrait, it's for someone like us, it's I think it's very easy to just think of a portrait like, well, it's the motherfucking face. You draw the face, you draw the nose, you draw the eyes, but it's
sure.
so many techniques behind it. So I think that's just uncovers like a world of possibilities when you start looking at pretty much the whole world in that way.
You said it was humbling. Did you feel awkward when you sent out that first drawing? Because I felt really, really embarrassed after my first. I was like,
Yeah,
fuck, this is really, really difficult. It's really I know I have some friends like in my social media list that are actual artists.
yeah.
I can't I can't put this out there and say, hey, I'm drawing portraits now.
uh,
No, they're
no,
gonna shoot me down and crucify me, which wasn't the case at all.
no, I mean, I pretty much just published one, and then I've been showing you my progress. But the first one, I was actually like, oh, this is, I mean, this is okay. This is it's a good first step. But I definitely had those moments where I think yesterday, I was just sitting drawing, and I just wanted to, I don't know. It's such a weird feeling when you create something and you're almost disgusted by it. Not on a like a puking level, but you're like, how did I get to this point? Why am I doing this? I looking at this result, and I know what I was aiming for because usually I put it up on my TV. So I'm basically just sitting there with my pen and paper. I'm drawing it, and I'm feeling quite good. Yes, there's some music. I have a good. The night is slowing down. I'm watching it, and usually afterwards, I'm like, okay, this is good. Yesterday, I looked at it, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? I just spent like 1.5 hours drawing a face, and I'm basically watching this tutorial. This like 4-minute tutorial, and this motherfucker is just like, do this, do this, do that, and he just creates something that looks awesome. It
Right.
looks awesome, and I'm just backtracking. I'm jumping from the beginning to the end, slowing down this middle piece. Like, what the fuck is he doing? I'm drawing, feeling good about it. I'm looking at it. It looks like shit. It looks like shit.
So you know exactly what I felt like when I was making a tribute to my mom, right? I thought
It's
this
terrible.
would be good. This would be such a nice thing to do, right?
uh,
I've practiced a little bit. Now I'm going to draw my mom's portrait of a nice photo as a tribute to her. And
uh,
I started off, and I was so into it. I was like, this is going to be my best drawing ever. And I just go for it. And along the way, it gets further and further away from what it should be looking like. And
yeah,
I can't change it anymore. Like I'm
yeah,
trying to, but whatever I'm doing, I'm pretty much just making it worse.
yeah,
And at a certain point, you just have to be like, oh well, this
yeah.
is just what it is. She still
But
appreciated it, by the way.
yeah, what did she say? What did she say in the end? You showed it to her. Well, what did she say?
Yeah, I sent it to her. She just sent me back a couple of smileys and stuff, and she said like, "Yeah, I appreciate the work you put into it, but I hope I look better in real life."
And she does. Come on, uh, that's uh,
She,
that's that's. I mean, for example, my girlfriend. Well, I asked for a picture from her so I could draw her, but I think I'm actually gonna save it until I have some more legit skills because I feel uh, that's enemy territory going into that. Just drawing someone like that, but I'm just enjoying the whole process of it. But it is. You kind of appreciate these people that are doing it, and you even the masters of these fields, you start to understand the amount of hours, the amount of dedication, the amount of I mean, I guess everyone goes through the same thing of fucking hating what you've been doing, but still you
I
get
would,
back to it. So
I
again,
would
like,
think so.
yeah, and again, like that's what makes all of this so interesting is when you start to what I say, de-romanticize all of these fields. You start to see like the struggle behind it, the structure behind it, and pretty much it's the same thing. I mean, we can draw parallels to going to the gym for the first time. I mean,
Of course.
maybe the results that you want to have is you want to have a certain body, or maybe you're starting to go to a fight gym, so you want to achieve a certain level of fighting. I mean, you're gonna go through the same process pretty much when you're like, the fuck am I doing with my life? I've been trying this jab forever. It's just a jab. It's just going straight. But in the end, you understand, it's more than a jab. It's more than a jab.
I agree. I
Mm.
agree. There's definitely something to uh, through the surface of something, being able to kind of see what it takes to reach mastery in something.
Yeah.
You know, now that you're doing this, and we're just scratching the surface
Mm.
of what it's like to go through the process. But man, for high level artists, this must be a whole different game.
Mm.
But do you still judge your drawings the same way as you did at the start?
100%. I think I'm even more now because at some point I started feeling pretty good about it, but then I changed things up because I found this technique that I shared with you about like drawing, not drawing the actual face, but seeing the patterns in the face and drawing it together. And I started feeling
Right.
pretty good. I did some portraits that I was like, these are good portraits. I was feeling happy about it, and then I changed it to another technique of portrait, and it's fucking shit. It's terrible. I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. I was angry with myself that I stayed up. I slept in today because I stayed up all night yesterday just drawing. But again, that's the thing. I think if those things were not in motion, if I would have felt like, this is easy, I don't think the satisfaction when you actually get like a good result, that
Mm.
satisfaction wouldn't have been there if it wasn't closely tied together to all of these tries when you just draw something that looks like, I don't know, it got beat up by someone.
Okay, but you're obviously comfortable with trying over. Like what I
Yes.
mean is, when I started, I commit to one drawing for that
Mm.
day, and after the end of the drawing, I look at it and I judge it like, man, shit, like what
Yeah.
happened? And I can like the first couple of times I really beat myself up over it, like, oh my god, this is terrible.
Mm.
Now I am comfortable with because I started the anatomy part,
Yeah.
which oh my god, first time I did it, it was oh my god, I felt so bad again. But now I'm like, okay, I'll just do a couple. I'll
Yeah.
just do it again. I
Yeah.
do it again, and I start to understand or at least enjoy the process of going through it a couple of times and
Yeah.
okay, if it doesn't work out, that's fine. Try it again.
I wish I had it. No, I'm still like I still want to see good results every time. And I mean, I don't know if it's a personality trait, but that's a thing. I mean, I think when you get up to a certain point, I think you start becoming more comfortable with the previous steps in your career or your journey. Like it's the same thing with my writing. Like before, it would take me such a long time before I even showed someone what I've had have written. Now it's just like, well, I just produce. If someone says, oh, this is this and that, I don't really care because now I'm comfortable in my writing. Like if they don't like it, if they don't get it, it's not really my problem. It's up to them.
Right.
I'm not there in drawing. We're two weeks in now. Um, Actually, I think this is one of the things that I'm gonna continue doing. I would love to continue drawing, man. I really like it.
Isn't that cool? You do something that's completely out of your comfort zone, pretty
Yeah,
much, something you're not used to doing. And just because you stick to it for a month now, based on the challenge,
yeah.
you're halfway through, you're already like, yeah, I can see myself doing this for a long term. I think that's a great takeaway.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, I've always seen it. Well, not always, but these challenges also came from a point. I almost call it like the video game perspective. So sometimes I don't know if you play like Tony Hawk and things like that. When you're creating your character, one thing is like the physical aspects. You can change the hair, like have a nice looking hair like this, or you can add tattoos and the clothes and everything. And but you can also, like in Tony Hawk, for example, like how high they can ollie, or how high they can,
Right. You've
how
got like skill distribution, so to speak,
exactly.
and
Yeah, and also like I think the Matrix is a great example of something similar to that, when they plug them in and they obtain a new skill. So obviously, I mean, we're not there as at the Matrix level when you just plug it in and then you can get to that level, but pretty much um, the same concept is actually present in nowadays, since we have access to the internet. I mean, one of those things that I really enjoy with these challenges is also peeking into a different universe, because I really see it that way. I don't know if you're logged into your YouTube with your personal account and everything, but now my YouTube is pretty much like death metal, fighting, and now it's seeping in like drawing videos. Do you
right,
understand what I mean?
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
So
exactly.
you have this. I mean, obviously, I'm living in my little universe, but now I started peeking into another universe because of this challenge. But not only that, that universe is also now peeking into myself and being part of my daily life, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, I
Mm.
agree. That's well said. I fully agree with that.
Yeah. So in the I mean, if I keep this up, this is gonna be a thing. I mean, we're talking now 2020. Well, what we're in April, whatever. Okay, so April 2020. At this point, I'm not Matthias that draws. But hey, let's fast forward maybe 2022. Maybe I'm the guy that always draws. Maybe I'm the guy that always doodles. Maybe I'm the guy who always posts like my drawings on Facebook. I mean, that could become a part of my personality. That could become something that is so deeply ingrained in my persona that it defines me. I think that's very
Right.
interesting.
And I like the fact that you portray it in the future as something that even though it could be a couple of years away, you still see it as something that's obtainable. I think
Mm-hmm.
for many people it's very difficult to visualize that you get a skill, but you need a couple of years to cultivate it, even
Mm.
though most things that are really worth it take a couple of years to
Yeah.
cultivate it. For many people, I think it's difficult because we want everything now,
Mm.
and we can get everything now. So the idea of investing in something, but it's only in a couple of years that you
Uh,
get to a level where it's actually worth it is difficult. It's difficult, I think. So
but I
it's a
think
good way to think of it that way.
yeah, and I don't think one thing has to exclude the other, because I'm also like that. Like I want things to be happen quick, and that's also part of the reason when I'm looking at something, I'm throwing it in the wall and like getting angry, because that's me saying, why am I not there? Because I can see it and I want to be there, but I'm not there, and it's frustrating. It's pulling me back, but I know that I gotta keep it up. But that's the thing. If you are, let's say, you want to be a martial artist, or let's say you want to be a swimmer, like that just came into your head. You want to be able to ride a skateboard because you saw some skateboard dudes, and now you think that would be cool if you could do it. Like if you became obsessed, if you had that, I want it now, 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 you can actually fast track yourself to that point in your life. So yes, it will take you years and years before you become elite and everything. But if you're one of those obsessive people like myself sometimes, when
Mhm.
you're like, okay, I'm just gonna fucking ride my skateboard everywhere now. Actually, I pretty much done that with my bicycle, or Gary's bicycle. Shout out to Gary for letting me his bicycle.
How about Gary?
So that's the thing. You
But
can
wait a second.
obsessively.
There's an important thing there that you're kind of brushing over. You're saying if you're obsessing over it and you're willing to get on your skateboard every day, but that is not a lot of people have that. I think it's very easy to fall in love with the idea of being able to do it. So you're seeing somebody do a lot of cool things on their skateboard, and that idea is what you want to have. But the way of getting there, the amount of times that you might be falling on your face and
Uh,
failing, that's part of it. Like there's almost nobody that goes from not being able to skateboard to being a pro
uh,
and not fall on their face 1,000 times. But that's what a lot of people don't know or realize or just don't want to do. And I
and
get
I
it.
think, yeah, maybe it's a personality trait for sure. I mean,
I think so.
but also there's, I guess, maybe me not being able to relate to that. Maybe, I mean, instinctively, I think, well, if you're not feeling that about it, maybe that's not your thing. Maybe that's not your thing. Because that's the thing. If you're not feeling passionate about it, if you're not looking at something in the future and thinking like, you know what, that sounds fucking awesome, maybe that's not what you should be doing.
Yeah, I don't know. It contradicts a little bit what we've been talking about. Because is drawing my thing?
Mm.
No. Is it
No, but
yours?
you're not. I mean, I can feel that little thing. I can feel that little spark. There's
Hmm.
something there. I can feel it's not that I visualize myself in the future drawing just because it's fun. No, I can see it. It speaks to me. So that's what I'm talking about. This what maybe we should call it passion. If you don't have that little spark in it, for me, it's maybe it's not worth it, or maybe it's not what you need to do. So, for example, uh, before when I was younger, trying to play the guitar or playing an instrument, like I really liked the idea of it, but it just didn't happen. I sat down and I did it, and and I'm in the process. It just doesn't speak to me. It doesn't give me that little drawing. Yes, I sat on a bicycle just to go there, and I started riding my bicycle. And I'm like, oh, it's there. So if that little spark is there, and you also have the ability to see it in the future, I think it's just gonna feed into itself. If you understand what I mean.
Right. Makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, I'm looking at the time. It's almost time to round it up because I need to go return some videotapes.
No, no
Did you
worries,
get the
no
ref?
worries. So, yes, I do. So, hey, what are you thinking about next month? Next month challenge.
I haven't thought about it, but I would like to do another activity-based thing.
Mm.
Maybe learn to dance.
Yes, we've
Since
been
it's
talking
on
about it.
the Yeah, the only question I have is, are we choosing one dance that we both do, or do I choose a dance for you and you choose a dance for me? Do we let other people decide what we learn, or do we just grab it out of a box?
I think I think the best would be if we each choose our own dance. I feel like there's gonna be a certain like fuckery if we let each other. If I choose yours and you choose mine.
Not a certain amount. There will be a massive amount of fuck,
Um,
which would make it interesting, actually.
exactly. I'm not sure if I want to learn like. I mean, belly dancing maybe, but there are a couple of dances that I would not be interested in learning. But if we choose our own, I think we can find that little passion and actually feed into that obsession and make something cool happen.
You want to just bring it up, see what people think?
Sure, sure. If anyone has any recommendation of dances, do you have any in mind right now that you would love to do
Uh,
or
it has to be individual, of course. So you'd be looking at like hip hop or street dance or shuffling or
yeah.
what do you call this? This is sort of something that you would be doing, that tectonic type thing.
That is that the pop and lock?
No, that's well, maybe that's my interpretation of it. But yeah, breakdancing would be a thing. Um, those things would come to mind, but there must be a bunch more. But the
Yeah.
idea would be, I guess, to learn a routine and
Learn a dance, pretty much. I mean, learn. maybe I would say what will I think would be fun would be to choose a song that has a routine, that has a choreography, and pretty much just work on it the whole month. And by the end of the month, just have a performance.
Yep.
Oh, fuck,
Okay.
I don't like the sound of that. When I said it, like I like the
Right.
idea of it, but fucking dancing in front of maybe not people, but in front of the camera.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do it live.
Ah.
Not me. That's you.
What?
Hmm?
We're gonna do it live?
Nothing.
Of course, we're gonna do it live.
You're gonna do it live. That's fine by
You
me.
can you cannot do your editing skills on this one. Yeah, we'll figure something out. Don't worry about it.
All right.
All right, man.
Talk soon. I need to
Always a
take a little
pleasure.
bathroom break.
The
Same
Quarantine
here.
Diaries. Take care, my
All
friend.
right. To
Chomre
be
Blea.
continued.
You take
See you,
care.
man.
I see you next time. Take care, my friend.
You too, man. See ya.